you know, we're gonna make some good stuff. We're gonna have a good, productive, creative year. The Boyks subbed while we were getting the stream ready to go, so thank you, the Boyks. I got time to get on that 3-month sub badge. Oh Lord. Yeah, Filardi, of course. Top teams in Portugal. I'm assuming you're talking football. is that is that right? I don't know. I'm trying to suck down the last of this coffee. So today, yeah, we're in Tony Stark's lab, Matt. It is fancy. Today we're gonna be talking. We're gonna be coloring some of the Brent Schoonover stuff. We flatted it before the new year, so we're gonna be working on that. If you missed the flats, they're in the previous videos, or you can go onto YouTube. The YouTube link is down below in the profile. But the other thing we're doing for 2018, by the way, is we're like 3 days into sketchbook page a day. 4 days. I can't remember. What day is it? What year is it? These things are already fleeting. All right, enough coffee. Let's get down to business. Here is the Batman piece that we left off on. So there's a couple things going on here. Now, we can just straight up color this thing. Or we can give it like a 1930s old comic book flavor. Now, I don't necessarily know how we're going to do that. No, trust me, dear viewer. I know everything. You should listen to me. Well, I was thinking about like trying to do like maybe like an old paper kind of thing with it, but the bottom line is like I don't know if that'll move prints. You know, like this is a commission by Brent Schoonover. By the way, Brent and I worked on the Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like 2 years ago at this point. And his contact info is like right over there. Like below the art, below the Photoshop there. I mean, I don't know. I can't point right over there. Hey Ziggy. So like we could make it like super vintagey, like wash it out, paper texture, that kind of thing. But like we also like the goal of this is going to be to move prints. Like we want to make this accessible for people and like kind of flashy. So let's think about like how we're going to do that. There's two things going on that we're going to have to address. And that's like Batman's going to be like partially silhouetted down here because the moon's behind him. We're going to do like a little rim light effect. It's going to look cool, but like the darkest parts are going to be right here, which is also something we got to keep in mind. Like we can't make the night sky too dark because we're going to start to drown out the bats unless we invert the bats. We make them like white or blue or something. I don't know. That might look too Spider-Man 2099 than Batman 1939 though. So we might just end up well here, let's just start playing around with some ideas. Let's take all of the flats before we start, drop them into its own alpha channel just to preserve the flats, like just in case something goes wrong. And then let's also just go balls out crazy. Well, like when you color something, you also have to like figure out what the you can't go balls out, like you can't go crazy every time is what I'm saying. Like you want to make it look good, but you can't, like Cave Carson stuff would not work on this piece. It would look like out of place and weird. let's make the background its own separate thing too, so we can kind of easily grab that in another alpha channel. So yeah, now we got alpha channel of Batman in black. We got alpha channel of the flats. I think we're ready to jump in. We're gonna grab the background and desaturate it like crazy, just to kick things off. And then we're gonna select inverse, and we're gonna wash Batman with like a blue. That is over the line, right? Let's multiply the blue down. Let's try to make it. I kind of want to work like dark to light on this. Part of the reason why is because it's Batman. See, but now we're kind of like, I don't know, we're kind of drowning out everything in blue. That looks weird. Maybe it's like, I mean, it's a full moon, so there's got to be like some level of brightness happening in the night sky. We could even kind of fudge it to like pop Batman's silhouette a little bit. I don't know. I'm shucking and jiving now. Like this is kind of like on the fly. I did not really think about this. Let's, you know, maybe prepare things for the new year. I don't know. Let's use like a little texture brush. Kind of like darken it up. Maybe there's like clouds or whatever in the sky. Just kind of like add a little tooth to everything so that it looks a little more organic. It's like the sky is like kind of this purple color, which is okay. Yeah, on Monday the moon was huge like that. It was just recently like a full moon on New Year's, right? Yeah. It was the like, I don't know if you guys pay attention to this stuff, but I like all the moon names and stuff, and it was the wolf moon on January 1st in the year of the dog. So, you know, werewolves, we're on to you, is all I'm going to say. My dog, actually part werewolf. He turns into half dog every full moon. That's my werewolf joke for my dog. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like it. So werewolves aside, Pup Snap's favorite day of the year. Yeah. Werewolves aside, we are also doing, I mentioned it briefly, but we're like a couple of days into the Sketchbook Day Challenge, and it's going really well. We have a handful of people participating. Nimish, who is in the chat, is participating, which is cool. I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is. There's a couple regulars in the Discord chat that are not participating but are like commenting. I'm pretty sure he is. So yeah, it's super exciting. And we were talking about part of the reason why I like doing it as a community thing is because like we're kind of sharing our struggles, you know? And also in the shared struggle of everything, we're kind of like, you know, Boix is participating as well. He's in the chat. He drew a hand holding chopsticks, and so we started talking about hands, and then it's like, well, now I'm thinking about hands, and I'm like, tomorrow I think I'm going to draw just like a full page of hands just to like practice, you know? So it creates this like, yeah, the hand challenge. What the hell are hands? Yeah. Weird octopus things. We should eliminate all hands. But yeah, so like if you're interested in that, if you're interested in being part of the discussion and jumping in on the sketchbook challenge, we're trying to do a sketchbook page a day. And I've just been doing them like in the morning with my cup of coffee, just like first thing, do some sketching. Just carve out like a little bit of time in the day, every day to draw. And it's kind of neat, like doing it with people, because hopefully we're gonna like challenge each other, push ourselves to create every day. It's a cool thing. And so if you're into that, you should jump into the Discord. And the Discord link is down below in the Twitch info, the Twitch profile info. That I don't think, you know what? I don't think anybody uses the Twitch profile info. I think if you click that link, you might be the first. So, just saying. So we can keep the moon like this. Or we can actually add a little bit of tooth to the moon as well. Now the moon like has texture to it, but I don't know if we want to like put too much in. I think literally everyone forgets that. Yeah, I worked really hard compiling all that information for the Twitch profile stuff, and I don't know that anybody knows that it's there. So, yeah. Well, okay. So if you're new to Twitch, usually people like you're viewing me right now on my page, twitch.tv/Nickfil, right up there, twitch.tv/Nickfil. And then in the below, like the actual, like, window that you're viewing me in, if you scroll down, you will find more information. I like compiled like where you can get my books, like all kinds of stuff. The Discord link is in there if you want to participate in the Discord. That is yellow as crap. So we added a little texture to the moon, but now the moon's looking a little dark. So let's brighten it up. You also can't be in theater mode. Yeah. Also, I'm not sure if it works like that in mobile. So basically what I'm saying is it's a really useful platform. And, you're welcome. And if you're viewing this on YouTube, you're just in the weeds. Sorry. But if you really want to like jump in on Sketchbook Challenge, you definitely should. So we're gonna pop Batman's eyes, of course, because he's Batman. You're also watching this via your TV, so you get none of that. Yeah, exactly. It's a robust, great platform, is what I'm saying. All right. We lightened up Batman's, I don't know, pajamas. What are you even, tights? I don't know. His nod nakedness, so that we can kind of pop everything else. Now the thing with Batman, vintage Batman, is like his gloves were like this purple color, so we definitely want to like accentuate that, because it's weird, and I feel like people who are into that are gonna see it and be like, oh, that's cool, you kept the purple Batman gloves. And his cape was like a bluish. Oh, Light Hands just popped into the Discord. So maybe some of the links do work. Light Hands, you're probably the first to ever use that link. Welcome. Yeah, and we also, like, in the Discord, this is turning into just like a big promotion for the Discord, and I apologize, but we also like end up shooting the shit all day. If we find art that we like, we'll post it in there. If you're working on something, you can promote it in there. Like, if you're looking for feedback, there's like people, like I literally hang out in the Discord basically all day. It's open on a second monitor while I work all day. So, if you ever want access or like, somebody to bounce an opinion off of, it works. Yeah. Hey, Johnny Light Hands. in the chat and in the Discord, in both. Welcome. All right, so we kind of did everything that I want to do right now with the background. So like, let's jump into the figure. And I know that I said I wanted to go dark to light, but maybe we'll put the shadows down and then kind of like tweak it from there. We'll see how it goes. We just got a follow from someone that did not pop up on my thing. So I missed who it was. Give me 2 seconds to get to the bottom of this. We're going to do some investigatory journalism and figure this out. The dashboard's loading. The Ramph has followed. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, so let's kind of figure this out. We're going to do the capes separately. Hey, Panda. We're going to do the capes separately, because that's kind of like a monster in and of itself. And we're going to try to like put a decent shine on the guns. I'm trying to make sure that the desk is clear for this thing to slide down. Yeah, so we're going to put shadows down, even though I said we weren't going to do that. Maybe we should do like a 2 light source kind of thing. Like he's being lit from wherever he's like falling into, and then also lit by the moon, like more harshly. Maybe we'll do that. All right. If that's the case, let's do whatever he's falling into, that light source first. By the way, drawing for the first time in 10 years, not exactly easy. I didn't think it was going to be easy, but it's like, man, I'll have a picture in my mind, and I'm sure a lot of you sympathize with this. I'll have a picture in my mind with like what I want it to be, and then my hands don't do the thing, and it's a little bit frustrating, but also kind of exciting because I'm still kind of like figuring out what I want, as I'm sure like a lot of you who are creative at all also think about. Like my buddy Chad on Twitter today, Chad Thomas, he was talking about how he's trying to put some effort into coloring this year in 2018. And he's doing like essentially the same thing I'm doing with art, and that is with what I'm doing with like line art, which is like he'll see something that like looks really cool. This message was flagged by AutoMod. Oh. Whoa. We're going to allow it. Matt, AutoMod put you on notice. Keep it PG-13. I'm trying to make all ages streams. At any rate, so he was talking about how he like will view like he'll see colorists doing what they do. Like he'll see people doing like full digital painting. He'll see people doing cell shading, and like he'll see people do it successfully, and he's like, oh, I want to do that. Like he sees it and he's like, oh, I want to do that, and then like tries it and it doesn't work necessarily as well, and then he sees like a different shiny object and he's like, oh, I want to do that, and then like he's like he's unfocused as to like where he wants to land with this thing. And I feel the same way. Like I look at stuff by like Mike Mignola, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then I look at stuff by J. Scott Campbell, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then I look at Jim Lee, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And it's like, I don't know what my voice is yet. And Chad was saying the same thing, that he doesn't know where his voice is with coloring. And like this is all stuff that kind of gets ironed out you have a weird random memory of us sitting in English class or something and drawing a link in your notebook? Were we in an English class? Unless that isn't directed to me. But yeah. So I'm trying to, and this is something that like is just something that works out over time. Like you put the hours in and then you find your way with this stuff. Like I'm hoping that by the end of the year, like that's kind of the goal, is by the end of the year, one of those required classes. Yeah, I mean, I might have. I've been drawing I've been drawing the Legend of Zelda stuff forever. I actually just tried to draw just this past day, like this morning. I tried to draw some Gerudo women from the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It didn't go well, full disclosure. Not as well as it did in my mind, but I'm gonna give it another try after we do some hand challenge tomorrow. But yeah, so it's like, you know, you gotta put the hours in to like figure out what your voice is, and the same goes for coloring. And it's funny, I know that Robert Wilson IV is doing the same thing. He's messing around with color lately, trying to like figure it out. And he mentioned to me at a show, actually, he was like, you know, that he was trying to figure out color and asking for tips and stuff. And he's like, he basically, he wants to do it all, but like, it's tough. Like you look at people like that do it all, like Mitch Gerardes and Jen Bartel, and you're like, oh, I'll just do it all. But like the color stuff and the art stuff is like its own separate skills. And if you're not advancing both of them at the same rate, you eventually get to like a point where I'm at, or where, you know, Chad and Robert are at, where Chad and Robert, like, really great at line art, and coloring is like, it's okay. And I'm like on the other end where I'm like, well, I've been putting blood, sweat, and tears into Photoshop, and it's like my art's like not great, but like I can fix it in Photoshop basically. I to that end, I was thinking about trying to do some digital painting at some point on this stream here. We might start trying to get into figuring that out. Trying to do gradient maps. We'll see how that happens. We will see. I was thinking about actually trying to grab something of Chad's to do for that, because Chad is very like animated style, that I think that 9 times out of 10 someone will just like cell shade it. But it might be cool to like try to digital paint over what he does. And it's like simple enough with like, you know, it's like kind of cartoony that I feel like it'd be good to learn how to digital paint on something that is not as complex, if that makes any sense at all. So we're almost done putting the, like, I guess, secondary light source on Batman. All right, let's try it. We're gonna multiply down like a dark color, and then kind of tweak it. Oh, I inverted his mouth, his face. Let's that got away from me because I was thinking about digital painting and using gradient maps and stuff. Also, I see people like Tamra, who are colorists. She's an amazing colorist, and her stuff is very painterly. And I'm like, let's get into that. And I'm like starting to lean that way. Like, the Realm is actually very painterly. It's like the closest I've ever gotten to full painting. I really enjoy working on that with Jeremy Hahn. All right, so we kind of have like shadows down, but let's add like the secondary light source for the moon. Let's just make it pure white, and we can do that just like straight up with a paintbrush. I'm not grabbing everything. Here, why don't we just do this? There we go. All right. Deselect the cape though. We don't want the cape. So yeah, all that to say, I'm like finding my legs with drawing, and it's like equal parts frustrating as it is exhilarating, which is how creating should be. You should be like stoked and afraid. Once I start like making stuff that's like worth showing, because Robert had mentioned that he's like approaching the new year. He was like posted a little video about how he is approaching the new year in a way where he's like done with fear, done with being afraid of things. And I want you to be done with being afraid of things too. I want you to like create whatever you want to create. Like that story that you thought about forever, that you're like, oh, if I ever get to make my own comics, I'm gonna make this. We should just jump in, you know? Like no time like the present. So yeah, Robert was talking about that, about being like unafraid, and I was saying, oh yeah, I started drawing, and he was like, oh, let me see some JPEGs, and I was like, nope. We're unafraid, but we're realistic. That's the thing. I was like, when I have something that I can actually show you, then we'll get there. So here's the thing. The rim lighting on Batman might not actually be this intense, and we're gonna like work with it a little bit and kind of like figure out, we might like mute it in places, but ultimately I want it to kind of like paint the silhouette of the form really well, so that Batman pops very, very nicely on the page, so that people from a distance will be like, oh shit, look at that Batman, you know? So we're starting to get there. I don't know if Brent wants me to do this, so we're going to try to do it on a separate layer just in case, but I kind of want to like straight up color the line art here with like Batman's cowl. Oh man, I'm doing that sloppy. That is real sloppy. Let's back it up. No, I'm a full CMYK, Johnny Lighthands. For anyone who is watching this on YouTube, Johnny Lighthands just asked if if I go from RGB to CMYK, or if I just stick in CMYK, and I just stick in CMYK. Part of that is just like a product of me being like, this is the way I learned kind of thing, like, is just CMYK, and you get a lot more options in RGB, but those options don't necessarily come to print. That looks weird. That looks weird, right? Right, chat? That's gotta, yeah. That doesn't work at all. Not even a little bit. Maybe like the edge of the, oh yeah, that'll work. That'll work. And then like this kind of thing. Like that'll look good. But yeah, you've seen people who work in RGB and never understood the advantage. I think it's just that like people just learn in different ways, to be perfectly honest. Like I'm pretty sure that like people who learned, we're going to do that, but not right now. I think that people who learn in RGB stick with RGB. And they see their comics printed from RGB and they just are like, this works and I'm just going to keep doing it. Like there's the thing about like Photoshop is there's no, I mean, I don't have to tell you, Ziggy, but just in general, there's no like right or wrong way to do something, you know? And people like start with something in some capacity and then they're like, oh, this is working for me. I'm going to keep doing this kind of thing. You think effects work better in RGB? Yeah, so like effects work better in RGB, but in my experience, the multiply command doesn't work better in RGB. I think it works better in CMYK. But the reason that you think the effects work better in RGB is because, and here, I can show you. So like, here's red, right? This is a red that's like set for print. It's magenta yellow. That's all it is. Here is a red that looks really cool, like, but we're still like 99, 100. If that red isn't any different than this red, but like if you see on your monitor, like it actually like gets dull, like this to that gets dull. And there's no change in CMYK. And CMYK is how it's going to print. So it's like, well, why don't you just work with how it's going to print in the first place instead of like the reason that you think the effects look good is because you're like edging into this RGB stuff that like isn't going to really see print anyway. Like occasionally I'll color in RGB if I know that it's for, if it's for the web, if it's not going to go into print, or like it's going to go into print at a later date, but that's not really the point. I'll work in RGB, and it's a dream. It's so much easier. Yeah, when you click the bright one, it even has a warning triangle that says this is how it will look in print. Yeah, so like working in RGB, I get it. It's a dream. And especially if you're like starting to figure things out as far as color goes, it can be daunting and you want to work with like all the advantages you can get. But like the reality is like you may think, oh, this looks great on my monitor. It's going to look great in print. I'm a very good colorist, but like it might look worse in like you don't know, because I don't know. And you can like toggle between RGB and CMYK, yeah, like Matt was saying, and kind of like figure out where it lands. But I just don't understand, like if you're toggling, like I just don't understand why you don't just work in CMYK. I don't know, but this is like two different schools of thought with this stuff. Everybody does things differently. I know that Tamra, who I was just saying is an incredibly talented colorist, she works in RGB. So, I don't know. It's like whatever works out for you, but at the same time, I don't understand why the other one would work out for you. I don't know. We're going to try to do a little painting here, trying to like... And by the way, I'm using this brush, this kind of toothy brush, because Brent used like the same kind of brush through the artwork here. And by like echoing what he's doing, it's kind of like making the colors look less computery, kind of like blend in with what he's got going on, which is cool. Man, I kind of wish Batman had a yellow bat from back then, but I don't think he did. You color with screen mode? Yeah, I mean, I'm just coloring normal, but I screened a grad through this thing, through like all the muscles and everything, kind of give it form, like light was hitting it. Um, I mean, I glazed over that really, really quickly. Maybe I should have backed up and talked about it a little more. But we got another Schoonover piece after this one, so we might as well talk about it then, I guess. I should, by the way, ask Schoonover if he wants to come on the stream and talk comics. I think that he would enjoy that. He's a very, very talented, very approachable guy. And it'd be cool to do like, both of his pieces and then talk to him in person. We'll see if he has time. For us, for you and me. Stream some Schoonover wrestling pieces. Oh man, I would. So for anybody that doesn't know, because it's like, I don't know how on the radar wrestling is for all of you in the chat, but Brent and I are also working on a giant, like, multi-pieced, it's like 12 covers all together. It's something crazy like that. It's 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom, and then and it's all wrestlers, like in a giant Royal Rumble. We're doing this for Boom, I think. Gosh, I can't even remember. It's only one cover a month for this company, so they're like, until the cover's like on fire and they need it, I kind of like, it's out of my memory. But yeah, so we're working on that, and I would stream some of that. However, it's like working with an intellectual property is a little bit weird. Way to know your employer. Yeah, boom. See, I got it. So like working with somebody else's IP, I mean, we're kind of doing that now, but is kind of different than just like kind of doing my own thing. And I don't want to like be like, here's what I did, and then like it changes for print and people are like, oh, I wish that we did it this way, like fuck wrestling for changing it or whatever. Not that people would say that, but I don't know, it's a little weird when there's like an editorial team and then an IP team on top of it. It's partly why I wanted to stream some of the Rick and Morty stuff, but just ended up not doing that because of that. Like a lot of stuff can get changed at the last minute. There's like weird spoilers within the community and blah 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 blah. So we're gonna try to keep the stream friendly towards everyone. Johnny Lighthands has cool stuff. You should post some links in the chat, Nimish. Actually, I don't know if you can post links in my chat unless you are modded. So there you go, Nimish. You are a moderator. But yeah, so it's also like, if they're doing like a big release announcement or anything, I don't want to like jump ahead of that. I don't know. It's just trickier with bigger things like that. Oh no. Oh no, I've moderated you. You have a lot of responsibilities now, Nimish. Sorry to put that on you. So yeah, you can kind of see like what we're doing here, which is just kind of painting out the forms. Nothing too crazy. We're going like general to specific on here. And like I said, I'm using this brush to like mimic what's going on with Batman anyway. Man, so we have these two pieces from Schoonover, and I also have lined up some Thor stuff that I was going to do, and some New Mutants stuff that I was just going to do some like old scans of kind of thing. We did that for Spider-Man 2099 and V for Vendetta. Those streams were like old scans. So I got some of that like lined up. I'm like very excited about. This is kind of looking weird. I think we can make it not look weird by just evening it out a little bit. Kind of making everything a little more samey. Yeah. Yeah, now it looks less weird. Less weird is good. Yeah, there you go. I do love Twitter. We will check that out. Or I will personally check that out at a later date. Or a later date. I don't know, like what is this, like the 18th century? Like no, I'll check it out after the stream is done. Yeah, always ignore Facebook. There's a pro tip for you. I shut my Facebook down, God, like years ago. At this point, like 5 years ago. God, it's been a long time. And my life's been better for it. The last time I had Facebook, they were doing Spotify had like you could like link your account to Facebook. And that was the nail in the coffin. I was doing this thing where like, you know, Spotify would link to Facebook and then it'd be like, oh, your friends are listening to this. Oh, your friends are listening to this. Oh, your friend is listening to this. Have you heard of them? And I was like, oh, this is all really cool. I'm going to check all this stuff out. And then I woke up early to like work that day. And then I was like, man, why am I so hungry? And it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. I hadn't done any work. All I've just been doing is like browsing Spotify, which I guess is the point. Like that's what they want. But like, oh man, I was like, I got to get rid of this thing. That was like the last straw for me in Facebook. I was like, at some point I need to get some work done. Just such a time sink. Sometimes posts with me show up on my Facebook, but now I'm gone, so they just look like one-sided conversations with yourself. Sorry about that, Ziggy. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I hit a point with Facebook where I just like wasn't having fun with it anymore, and I was like, it became a burden more than anything else. To be totally honest, like if I was you know, working an office job and wasn't doing any kind of like creative self-promotion or anything like that, or, you know, wanting to talk to you guys about comics, if I was just like, I don't know, a normie, is that what you call it? This is weird because they're talking about like alternate reality, like you know, New 52 Nick Filardi, who like just works in an office all day and quietly goes about his business. But if I was that person, I think I'd abandon social media, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. It's stressful. 2017, by the way, is the year that I upped my social media game and also started grinding my teeth in my sleep. And I think those two things are connected. It's stressful being plugged into the world at all times. Twitter's much more fun. Yeah. Plus, like, Twitter, you can kind of, the thing that I like about Twitter that I feel like is absent in Facebook is that, like, you have some level of control over it. Like muting, blocking, like only putting people on your feed that you enjoy, you know, like that kind of thing, like happens on Twitter, but like you're kind of like at the beck and mercy of your family posting political things and like just like I don't know, man. Like, and that's fine. They can have their views and everything. I just don't care. In like in my day-to-day like actual feed, like I don't really, you know, if I want to talk to my mom about politics, I'll talk to my mom about politics kind of thing. I don't know why it has to be on my feed, especially with like somebody I know. It's like, well, like I'll just talk on the phone with you about this, and that'll be far more rewarding and actually have a dialogue than like a Facebook rant. But like Twitter, since Twitter keeps everything small, you can't really rant too hard. I mean, people still rant, but like you can't rant as easily than you can on Facebook. And there's so much great art and artists on Twitter. Yeah. If you're into comic book art and art in general and you're not on Twitter, like you should rethink your social media habits. Even if you just make a Twitter to like sign up to like basically voyeur like other people's conversations, you should do it because like there's a lot of artists. You want comic art, bulldog pics, and inappropriate jokes? Yeah, Twitter's got you. But there's a lot of artists that like chat on there about comics all the time, basically 24/7. And like once you start following like multiple people, you'll see them like talking to each other like up in the feed. So it's like it can be like really, really interesting, and the conversations that artists have and what they're thinking about can be really interesting. So if you're into that, you should probably get into Twitter. Use Instagram mostly for comic artists. That's interesting. I've been slacking them. I've been trying to do at least 4 Instagram posts a week starting last year. And I've been getting better and better at it, but sometimes I wax and wane. Sometimes there's only so much art I can show, you know? If you're a voyeur, get into Twitter. Yeah. Creep on other people's conversations. It's great. But yeah, so I've been trying to use Instagram more and more. But like Instagram I feel like is less interactive. Like if you want to like chat with me about art, about any projects I'm working on, or like, you know, not even about like projects, if you're just like, hey, let's talk process, like Twitter's much more, I feel like, interactive than Instagram is. My Instagram, like people will leave comments and I'll talk to them, but it's not as, I don't know, fluid. I don't even know if that's the right word. It's not as engaging. But if you just want the art, yeah. Like if you just want the art, there it is. Yeah, post pictures of your cats. That's all you want from it. Yeah. Yeah, look at the Instagram is at its core is look at the art and keep scrolling. Yeah, pretty much. Which has its value too. Like a lot of people like don't want my dumb jokes, and I can't imagine why. Guys, anyone? Silence. All right. Deafening silence. All right. We're just gonna move on from that. But yeah, some people just want the art and to move on, which is totally cool. I also feel like Instagram's a really good way to just like, for all you up and coming artists, Instagram is a really good way for you to just be like, here's art on a regular basis. It's not so good for like large like pages, but just to be like a quick sampling of like, here's what I'm capable of. Instagram's like perfect for that. I wish that they would, I don't know, like let you maybe like Zoom or something so you can kind of do pages, but I don't know. It's not really built for that. But I use Instagram a lot of the time just to get like a quick snapshot of like how, you know, strong are people's art chops or whatever. And if they don't have an Instagram, that makes me worried usually. If somebody's like, hey Nick, you want to work on a project, I usually like check their Twitter, check their Instagram. Is that weird? I don't know. I've never thought about that before. Just because I usually want to like know what I'm getting into. You're a funny bloke looking, that is. Nailed it, Matt. That's why my Instagram is nonstop selfies. Just every day out there being funny looking. So we're trying not to goof up the structure of the hand here, but we're also kind of goofing up the structure of the hand. So let's get a little more polished. Extreme concentration. It's possible to post on the Instagram from the computer with Google Chrome. Is that real? That changes up everything. I've been using, so for like the last year, I've been doing I have like a program that backs up everything on my computer for obvious reasons. So that I don't lose work and I can access those backups remotely if I need to, and blah 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 blah. So I've been using that to like dump stuff on Twitter and Instagram, or sorry, just Instagram, because you can post from the computer for Twitter, and it's been a pain in the ass just because like the backup program, like I have to like take it from the backup program, download it to the phone, adjust it in like a cropping program, and then put it on. It's like a nightmare. And then like sometimes the JPEG is like too low resolution to like really work, and it's just a nightmare. It's not fun. That's like the main hurdle that keeps me from posting more on Instagram. But now that I can just take a screenshot, crop it in Photoshop and dump it with Google Chrome, I might end up posting on Instagram more. By the way, I mean, I guess we might as well self-promote a little bit. Right above me, right up there, is my info for Twitter and Instagram. Since we're talking about it nonstop, indulge me for a minute. But man, I don't know what it's like these days to kind of like break into comics in a world that's like where you're like fighting for eyeballs with like Jim Lee and like David Aja and like David Asia and everyone like on Twitter and Instagram. Like you're fighting with like Art Adams and Bill Sienkiewicz, you know, like your first ever live stream. Welcome, Matt. You may join us any other time this year. We're gonna try to stream like 2 or 3 times a week, but obviously this week got a little bit away from me. But yeah, we're gonna stream again on Friday, so yeah, come join us again. But yeah, man, I don't know, like it's got to be tough to compete for eyeballs on like Twitter and Instagram. Um, just because the caliber of it's like such a flat playing field. Uh, that and obviously, thank you for joining us, Matt. I'm glad you were here for your first one. We've been joking around on Twitter for a while. Uh, yeah, it's such like a flat playing field that like it's got to be tough to like stand out. I don't know. Um, I don't necessarily. Was that right? Maybe fade it. Yeah, 16. Um, I don't necessarily have that much of a problem. Like, I'm not like thinking about that stuff, but man, I can't like breaking into comics now versus when I broke in like the early 2000s, early mid 2000s. It's like an entirely different game. Um, the internet has like changed the way people think about comics and work and even just like freaking comic distribution. Like it's all different. And like I don't know if I would have been if I mean maybe I would have taken to it sooner than later if I'd grown up with it, but man, it's just very 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 different in a very short period of time for like somebody trying to break in, to the point where I'm like, I don't even know if I have positive like I can usually like when it comes down to like the work and stuff, I'm like, oh okay, this is what you got to work on, this is what you got to work on. But like when it comes down to like, okay, how do I put comics in front of eyeballs? Like we did a stream where I was talking to Charlie Chu about like how do you pitch comics, and like the answers he was giving me were so like wildly different than how I assumed that pitching comics works. Um, the way employers care about social media followers is crazy. It's almost more important than the work these days, dude. It's wild because it's like, I don't know, like having an audience is important, you know. I don't think it should be you should care about it more than the work, but you should certainly care about it. I was making a case to a buddy of mine who is like kind of breaking into comics, but he's got like quite a few under his belt. I don't know if he's necessarily still breaking into comics. Larry Watts, he was saying that like, whenever he does like self promotion, he feels kind of weird, and it's 100% like weird thing. It took a lot for me to like even sign up for social media stuff and like focus on it, and then it took a lot to even, I don't know, start to self promote after that. It's admittedly a weird thing, but I really feel like it's important. I was trying to emphasize to him, I'm like, look man, you're like, if you're gonna be up for a gig, and you have no social media following, and somebody else is up for a gig and they have a like 10K people following them or something like that, like who do you think the employer is going to pick? Like, you might have slightly better stuff, but if they have a guaranteed follower base that's going to guaranteed eyeballs on the comics, it's like, what can you do? It stated she was chosen for the part because of her followers. That's wild. For Sansa in Game of Thrones. That's crazy. Man, the world is different. It used to be like, so when I went to school from 2000 to 2004, it was like all about the work, and in my mind it was, and like we were taught by people who were older than us. So like people that were making comics in like the 90s. And it's like, well, if it's not going to be, so like when I got out of college, I thought, oh, like I'll just do my work and my work will speak for itself and I won't need to like do this social media stuff. Wow, Johnny Lighthands with the savage burn. Sansa was not picked for acting abilities. Rough. But like, yeah, when I got out of school, I thought like, oh, like if I do the work, then you're like, that's all I really need to do to like really put my foot in the door. But like that's not true. Like it's wildly not true, like we're talking about now. But like I was taught by people who were making comics in the 90s, you know? So it's like, well, like they didn't know any better. They couldn't see it coming. It's not their fault. I don't know. It's a weird thing. You have to like, I feel like in this creative industry, you have to like anticipate things as well as follow through. And a lot of that is social media. Like you can't get behind on that. I don't know. So we're kind of doing the ripples in the Cape now. This stuff is pretty easy, straightforward, because we're just gonna try to make it as smooth as possible, as smooth looking. Let's think about this for a second. Light part. No, it's not a gradient. There we go. Luckily, Brent closed all this line art for us. I don't know if this is gonna look jacked when we zoom in, but after we zoom in, we'll kind of fix it if it needs to be fixed. But yeah, man, if you're an aspiring artist, like, I was watching a stream the other day of somebody in the comics chat room. It used to be who you knew in the business, and that's how many strangers know you. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. I've been told publishers want to know if you can sell before giving you a shot now. So like Kickstarter sales. Yeah, I mean, that's what Charlie was talking about when we interviewed him, which is on the YouTube channel. I think it's like on the front page of my YouTube thing, where we were talking about like how to get your book published. And he was like, you know, Kickstarter is where you want to be now. Once you kickstart successfully a few times, then like you can start to be like, hey, I've done this. Now you're ready for like publishers. And when I started, it used to be, small publishers lead to big publishers. And now there's like a whole extra step, for better or worse. Cause like you can, a lot of people like take that first step and they're like, hey, wait, I'm good at this. I don't need a publisher. And they just like do their own thing. You know, it's like the medium is a lot different. Yeah, not sure which is better. Yeah, it's the Wild West of comics. Comics is doing a ton of growing right now, which is actually like really exciting, and also very scary. Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing everything I think I should be doing, and I think you should probably be, if you're an aspiring. Here's the thing: is like I was watching a stream the other day, and there was like a couple of people in there, and the guy was making a comic, and he was really good. Like the stream was great, the comic was really well drawn. Like the guy was very talented, but like he didn't really have any social media presence. He didn't really have any. There wasn't really like anyone hanging out in the chat, and it's like. So it's like and then he was like, I haven't really gone to any cons. He was like early in the game. But he was like, I'm going to go to San Diego Comic-Con this year. And I was like, you know, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to find his way. I'm not worried about him. Like he'll find his way. He was talented enough too that like he'll be fine. But I was like, man, I think you're operating under the assumption that like you can go to San Diego and get like noticed, and like I don't know if it's like that anymore. The inside of his cape was more purplish. I have an action figure of him somewhere. It might be. Let's do some Googling. First appearance of Batman. It doesn't look like it. Looks blue. Although, like, it might have been purple at some point. Like, this action figure kind of leans purple. Yeah, it looks like it's blue. Like, this isn't right. Yeah. The cowl is blue too. That's interesting that we're gonna kind of figure out. Hey Chops. But yeah, man, I was like, I think you're going about it like you kind of have to like build. Don't get me wrong, building the comic dark blue can look purple in the highlights. Yeah. The comic is important. Making a good comic, it's definitely like, 75% of the game. But I think like a lot of creators when they start out like forget that the other 25% of the game is like having somebody to sell the comic to. Like the guy was super talented. The comic was really cool. The writer was in the chat hanging out. Like it was all like a cool little thing, but like they weren't, I don't know, there wasn't. And then they're like, we're going to go to San Diego for our first con. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the first con you want to go to, like you should be hitting up like every single little con that you possibly can. I don't know, but like I said, that's not my place. And so I didn't say anything, but in my mind, I was like, that's not the way I would do it. I would have, instead of going to San Diego, one large con, I would do like, 4 small cons or whatever that are like local. And then I would kind of like move from there. Yeah, smaller cons are better. And the reason that smaller cons are better when you're starting out is because like when people go to San Diego, they're not like, hey, I'm really excited to find a gem in the rough to like start with. It's like, no, people go to San Diego to be like, I got in line and I got to see the new David Schwimmer vehicle. He still makes shows? Shit. And then David Schwimmer was there and I got him to like sign some stuff. And then we're going to the Doctor Who panel. Like it's like you're competing with, like, instead of competing with Doctor Who, you can compete with like, just like people doing comics. The reason that I don't do San Diego, I did San Diego 1 year. And then I was like, oh, this isn't the place for me. Because like nobody goes to San Diego to like be like, oh man, I'm going to hang out with my favorite colorist. Like I'm going to hang out with my 6th favorite colorist, Nick Filardi. No, that doesn't happen. People go there to be like, yo, I'm gonna meet Warren Ellis. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna get on the McElroys are having a panel and they're doing a live show. I'm gonna go to that. Like, I don't know. It's a weird thing, but people think, like, oh, comics is this. It's San Diego. That's what, and I think that's the mentality, is like, oh, if we want our comics to reach the most amount of people, we go to San Diego and we push it. But I don't think people are as open. I think that if you go to smaller cons, you're not going to. So here's the thing about the Dallas Fan Expo is, so I was tweeting about like, what shows is everybody going to? I was trying to change up my con game. And I had a couple of people on my Twitter say that in the past too, that like they wanted me to show up at Dallas. And I had never done a Texas con. I usually traditionally do C2E2, Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington. I goofed it. uh, and then I do sometimes I do New York, although I haven't done New York in a long time. Uh, and then I do like a lot of like stuff that's around me. Like I'll do MegaCon in Orlando. I've been trying to do Seattle, Oregon, Kappa. Yeah, I know, I goofed it. All right, I admit it. Um, and then I'll do like Heroes Con in Charlotte, and like a lot of like smaller cons in between if I can. Um, yeah, and I feel like, you know, so I'm trying to like, you know, try out some different cons that I don't normally do. Um, Seattle, Minnesota. Yeah, right. That's where I go. Seattle, Minnesota. Uh, look, look. You're here for the art, not for the geography. Let's let's make that clear. By the way, we're doing unreasonable highlights in Batman's cowl in order to pop his ears. These highlights are unreasonable. No one should do these. Um, as a creator, what's the benefit of going to the con? So here's the thing. Every single con, I'm a colorist. You guys, I'm your sixth favorite colorist. Which is my new favorite thing to say, by the way. Um, so I don't really make I don't make any money at cons. Like I'm rare, colorists in general are like rarely even invited. So like everything that I do at a show, seventh, if we keep these jokes up, Magi. That's talk that's gonna get banned. Brent Schoonover is in the chat. Hopefully we're not screwing up his art. So yeah, so like it's tough because like, you know, everything's out of pocket. I don't think I've ever, anytime you see me at a con, I'm losing money, bottom line. Like I've never made what I spent to fly out there, hotel, table fee, and food. Like I've never broken even. I've come close a couple of times at Heroes because we don't fly. And they usually I'm buds with the people who run the show, so they usually like comp me a table. So like that gets me close, but I'm still like not close. So the advantage, if I'm like dumping all this money in, is that I get to meet all these creators. They put a face to my email address. We end up shooting the shit, and then it's like, well, you know, they might be like, well, I got this thing coming up, and I don't have a colorist for it, or like they might just like not even that. Like we might just have a nice conversation. They might think of me later, and you know, be like, hey, you want to try to jump in on this? You know, it's the advantage is like being connected within the industry, you know. I make my money by staying in the scene and continuing to get work. Yeah, but it's weird as a colorist because like when I wasn't doing shows, I was still staying in the scene and getting work, but like the work wasn't great. Like it was good, but it wasn't great. I've definitely gotten better work since going to shows. Work that I've been like more proud of. It's, I don't know. It's like it's a weird thing. But then it's like, okay, well, how many shows do you do? Like, cause you kind of see the same people at every show. So it's like, do I do like 5, 8? Do I do 2? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the right number is, but I try to advocate for anyone who's like breaking in, like do the local shows that are around you. And start there. And then from there kind of start to like look to move into bigger shows. I would pick like one big show that you think you can afford, and then like, you know, don't hang all your hopes on that, and then do a lot of little shows too. But also like beyond the like monetary stay within the industry kind of thing, like there's a lot of value in like just talking to other artists, like being interconnected with everyone is really important. When I was like my most, I don't know, depressed, like least happy with comics, I wasn't going to a lot of shows. And I think those two things are related, that like this job is hard, and if you're by yourself the whole time every day, like you start to like, I don't know, I mean like maybe this is just me, but like I started to kind of like turn inward, and like my work suffered. And when I went to shows, I was like excited about not only about like my work, but the work that everybody else was making too. And that made me excited about comics in general, which is like kind of the beast, because like this thing is a marathon, you know, like you don't, I mean, I've been doing this now for close to 15 years, and it's like, you know, you don't do one comic and then like rest on your laurels. You don't do like one Marvel book and you're like, well, that's it, I've made it, I don't have to worry about anything anymore. It's a fight, man, and you got to stay willing to fight, you know. So yeah, those are the reasons that I keep doing cons. Although all this to say, I don't know how many cons I'm doing this year. I think I might try to focus. I've been doing like a lot of shows lately, and I think I might switch focus for the year. Maybe do like one or two, and then try to stream more often, and then also try to focus on, you know, finally knocking out my student loans rather than, because like I said, yeah, wedding con would be good too. Yeah, I've had a fiance for years and years now, and being able to marry her would be nice, and I can't do that if I'm flying every other month somewhere. That would be nice. It would be nice to get married. She is a wonderful woman, and she deserves it. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what shows I do. I'm definitely gonna do Heroes Con. Although Brent, it's hard to get in, but harder to stay in. Yeah, Brent just said that in the chat, and that's the truth. Wilfredo once described it to me as like, I hate the term breaking in, because I think that term is bullshit, because it implies that like, oh, you broke down the door, now you get to just show up and do whatever you want, you know. Like, he described it as like, comics are a full party, you know. So you're watching a party that's happening in like from the outside of the building, and you're looking through the glass, you're looking through the windows, and you're like, man, I want to get into that party. And you're like, oh, how do I do that? And you got the revolving door, and the first time you try, you like spin through the revolving door, and you don't end up in the party, you just end up back outside, and you're like, oh god, what the hell happened? And you're like, okay, this time I'm going to get off the thing and I'm going to be in the party. And like, you spin through the thing, and you might screw it up again, and then you spin through the thing, and you eventually like break in, and you're like, oh, this is what the party's like, this is great. And then the guy behind you spins in and then pushes you back out, and you're like, what the hell happened? You know, like, what was that? And the truth is like, that's kind of how it is like, it's not like that guy was like doing it maliciously or whatever. It's just like, the party is very large, and you have to be constantly in motion. You have to constantly be thinking about comics. You have to constantly be like breaking in, staying in. Like, it's wild. For the first like 4 years I was doing this, like every time an editor would hire me for something big, the editor would then like move to another company, or just quit the game in general. Like, it seemed like every single time I was like, oh man, like, I got to start over again. I don't know. Yeah, it's a wild thing. I That's why like anybody, a lot of like critics are really tough on people who make comics, and rightfully so. They're critics, you know, like that's fine. But I think anybody making an effort to be in this industry deserves respect. Period. Because at least a baseline of respect. Because man, this industry is tough. This industry chews you up for sure. At any rate, on a more positive note, it's also super fun. Like it's not all downside. I feel like I was really negative for the last couple of minutes, and it's not that bad. Um, it can seem frustrating, but it is not that bad. Um, so we're doing that thing that we were thinking about before, with the cape and cowl. I don't know if we're gonna highlight the piping or not. We might, although I think that might look weird. We'll see. We'll see how this looks, and then kind of go from there. Figure out. We're getting kind of close to being done. We gotta like super black all the line art, but we're getting close. Maybe add some special effects. You're quitting comics now? Thanks, Nick. Yeah, no problem. I'm looking out for you. Like, people don't do comics because it's easy. People do comics because they love it. Like, that's the bottom line. Oh, we got that dust. I grabbed some extra stuff over here. Yeah, they do comics because they don't know how to do anything else. Uh, which is definitely describes me as well. So I had an opportunity. I did some work with Valve. What does super black all the line art mean? We're gonna get to that in a second. It just means so like, if your monitor is, so that doesn't look great. If your monitor is on the lighter side, which it probably is, because you're probably used to like playing games and stuff, that looks fine. That looks okay. Maybe a light blue instead. Now we're talking. There we go. There we go. We got there eventually. So if you're it's your favorite game, don't even Hoquin. Where's Waldo is not even a game. Don't haunt me. So super black means like, so if you're viewing this on like a regular monitor that's calibrated for like, you know, video games and word processing and stuff, you're seeing like this white, like kind of like ghost in here, and we're going to try to eliminate that. So let's do that. You know what? Actually, first, let's think about this. Looks good here. It does not look good here. Let's like multiply it. Wow, that's really, we're really going for it, I guess, there. Maybe just take this dark color and just, yeah, there we go. Oh, we didn't put any highlights on the belt. We should do that first. You know, start your career as a Where's Waldo artist, man. So what Hoquin is referring to is something that has haunted me. So I like to watch the local and national news on a regular basis while I have my dinner, and I was watching, so Wheel of Fortune will come on afterwards, and like 3 weeks ago, longer, I'm like still thinking about it. Hoquin brought it up, but legit, I woke up and thought about it today again. This woman came on, and they do like the little intros, and she said that her favorite game was Where's Waldo, and that just emotionally crushed me because is it a game? Is it anything other than like you look at a children's book for a minute and a half in a waiting room? Like, how someone can have a passion for Where's Waldo just like emotionally wrecks me, especially as a creator. Like, because I don't know how do I get my comic book in that person's hands and have them prefer it to Where's Waldo? I don't know the answer to that. Like, oh man, is Where's Waldo a sandwich? I think if you put some bread around it, yes, it's technically a sandwich. Yeah, it's like that person has to represent like a demographic that I don't interact with. There are multiple pages, so it's a sandwich. You need a Waldo emote. Oh no. Oh no. I can't because I don't want to be like emotionally wrecked. I can't Waldo emote. I cannot. I will not do it. So yeah, man, it's got me shook. It's got me shook all over again. I'm like tearing up thinking about it. That woman. And this is the thing. So I think she knows what she did. Like, I think that like she is like slightly diabolical. And if I ever ended up on a game show and they'd be like, tell us a little bit about, I would not promote the stream, I would not promote Twitter or Instagram or my comics or anything. They'd be like, so what do you do? And I'd be like, I'm a professional Where's Waldo enthusiast. Where's Waldo is my favorite game. How is it a game? There's no score. I can't. I just can't. All right, we're gonna warm up his skin tone a little. Oh, we got some rogue pixels here. Rogue brushstroke. God, I should make, instead of making a Waldo emote, I should literally tearing up thinking about Where's Waldo. It has an objective win-lose condition, but like you can't compete and there's no score. It's just like, it's like so I love Breath of the Wild. 3-0 I win, Waldo is losing. So I love Breath of the Wild, but I hate the motion control shrines. And I feel like the motion control shrines where you like tip your controller in order to navigate the shrine has the same problems as Where's Waldo. Let me tell you why. In Where's Waldo, it's an inevitability. Like, Breath of the Wild doesn't have a score either. Oh god. Is Breath of the Wild 2017 Game of the Year Breath of the Wild the same thing as Where's Waldo? I can't stream. I can't deal with this. You're gonna emotionally break me. Let's take a deep breath. So, like, yes, there are strats for Where's Waldo. Since I put my greasy hands on my face, I need a minute. We need a minute, all right? We need a minute. Fucking Waldo. All right. All right. Jeez. Jeez. So, what were we talking about? We were talking about comics, right? That's what we were talking about. I was making some final changes to Batman here. I'm coloring on black because I'm all discombobulated. Kind of wanted these pouches to show up a little bit more. Thank you for dropping the Discord in the chat, Nimish. If you guys want, we're doing sketchbook challenge. Maybe I'll do a Where's Waldo sketchbook. God. So I think we're done here with this. Oh God, Batman kills Waldo. Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Let's figure out how we're gonna emotionally recover from this stream, and then also figure out the super blacks. So we have like kind of like ghosted images here, and the black line art is not. It's got like grays and stuff in it. Like, how do you even make a Where's Waldo comic book? How do you fill out the lore? It doesn't make sense to me. We can't get back into this. Where's Waldo is the Dark Souls of books, please. All right. So we have a lot of gray tones in all the blacks and stuff, and we want to keep that kind of like there's like a life in there that in these gray tones. So we like an option to you know prep this for print is to just go adjust threshold, enter, done. But like there's kind of like interesting stuff going on back here, and we want to try to preserve that. So instead of doing that, let's copy the black channel, make a new layer. 60, 60, 40 is what everyone was telling me, apparently. I've been using 80, 60, 40 for a long time, but I'm trying to change it up. I cannot keep up with this Where's Waldo chat. And then fill it, and then we're going to make a layer mask. We're going to click the layer mask, drop the line art in there, invert the line art, mess with the levels a little bit so that kind of works a little bit better. We're going to select all of the black, expand it by a pixel, and make that black, and then we should be good. Like, now we don't have that ghosted image, but we're still keeping a lot of the gray tone stuff going on. You know, we got little grays in there, so yeah, so that kind of works. And we can actually Joe Quintos does a lot of he'll put like a little glow in Batman's eyes a lot of times, so we're gonna do that. Wait, not like that. Let's do it above the line art in another screen layer for the special effects. So now remember when so I kind of like this because it's a little more white. It's like white on gray, but remember hiding a Waldo in all of my covers. Chat, please. I forgot who it was in chat. I think it was Nimish. I'm not sure. Who said that they feel like all their special effects look better in RGB. Part of that is what we're doing now, which is the special effects that we're doing on the screen layer are picking up part of the color underneath it. So it's picking up a little bit of that 60, 60, 40, 100 in the layer underneath, right here. Now, if we wanted to make that blue or red or whatever, we could take it and go, okay, 0, 100, 100, 100, which is actually a little heavy on the ink, but is like a red. Did we do that right? Yeah. So it's like a reddish black, rather than a, like if you took this same color and you took all the K out, you have red right here. But we're gonna put all that K in. There's 50K. There's 100K. K is black, by the way. So we can take that on normal, crank up the opacity, and then on the black layer down here, we can take that and kind of like drag it through the eyes a little bit. And now the eyes are showing up as like reddish rather than the grayish that we had before. But I actually kind of like the grayish. It's like this kind of desaturated, scary Batman thing. I think we might put some more special effects in. I wonder if... Yeah, magic. So yeah, basically it's magic. And don't worry about it. Put a little shine in the city. So that the city looks like the streets are kind of glowing. We got to take the shine out from Batman, though, because we don't want that. And putting that glare behind, on top of the city, but behind Batman, is going to make Batman pop even more. Like he's gonna really start to come forward, which is good. Creates a lot of depth. What do we got here? How do we get to the place we want to get to? Yes, I want all of this. Yes. That looks weird. Maybe it didn't work as well as I thought it was going to. I don't know. Maybe we're just not doing it enough. Maybe the fact there's no black line is like making it weird. Maybe we should just stop. Guys, look. Being an artist, it's about experimentation too, right? Right? It's about trying things out. Let's add a little tooth to the glow. We could probably make the moon glow a little bit. That might be kind of cool. Kind of looks faded, yeah. What if we mess around with like making the moon glow? That looks awful. I think it looks good as long as we don't have Batman in the shot. So maybe we'll just try it like this. Pretty close to not having Batman in the shot. Let's 20. Trying to, does that deselect all the line art around Batman? Yes, and then also deselected the city. Okay. I'm kind of like flying by the seat of my pants with this, like trying to make this kind of work in the easiest way possible, but like these selections are not easy because we're starting to like mess with the line art. Which can be its own separate hassle, because now we're making decisions about line thickness and things like that. that hopefully drawing every day in the sketchbook challenge makes it easier for me to do, but still makes me nervous actually a little bit, especially because it's like not my art. But I think that should be good. Like, what if we throw grad through that? That is on the wrong layer. Yeah, there we go. Bat's looking creepy. I think this is it. I think this is it. We might. Are we done? I don't know if we're done. I think we're close. Might like sit on this for a little while, because we're gonna be doing another Schoonover page. We're gonna be doing a Mr. Miracle one. Maybe when we do that one, we might revisit this one and see if we are as happy as I am now. If we are not happy with something, if we see something that, you know, we've been working now for an hour 45, so it's been a minute, and it's been an hour 45 to be exact. And I feel like sometimes, you know, you get that fatigue with looking at a thing for a long, long time. So I think we're going to call it here and then work on this tomorrow. Oh my God, we're in the wrong layout. We're in the wrong. That's how shook I was from freaking Waldo. There we are. Now we're back in the right layout. Good Lord. What did the chat do to me? Yeah. So I think we're going to call the Batman piece there. If you like it, we're going to put it on social media and everything, so you can see like kind of better color scheme, not filtered through Twitch and everything. You're welcome to join us for the sketchbook challenge. Still going. You can join it at any time. And if you think about it in a month or two from now and you're like, I want to draw a little bit, join us for the sketchbook challenge. It's in the Discord. If you want this print, if you want this print of Batman, you can get it. Schoonover is going to have these at cons. I'm not sure which conventions he's going to be at, but he will have these for sale at those cons. So yeah, if you're into it, like, go through him and pick it up. We're going to do one more on Friday. I hope you join us for that. Until then, I guess keep drawing, keep doing the sketchbook challenge, stay creatively frosty. Don't talk about Waldo. Thank you. Later, chat. See you on Friday.